Hello friends, my name is Alvin, and I'm going to show you how to replace a sprinkler valve manifold, going from this to this. Knowing how to do this will save you a few bucks. The tools I am using include a round mouth shovel, a trenching shovel, garden spade, channel lock pliers, latex gloves, glue, primer, Teflon tape, pipe cutters, wire strippers, and dielectric grease nuts. You can find a list of tools I used in the description. Let's get started. So the first step in the process is to expose what you got going on. I know this is leaking, probably a bad glue joint or something, but I don't know that because it's not fully exposed. One of my mottos is, when in doubt, dig a bigger hole. So the objective here in the beginning is to expose as much as you can. This isn't the easiest work, but it is doable, and hopefully your situation doesn't have anywhere near as many roots as this one does. On this job I had to use my trenching shovel mostly because I had to get some leverage on the roots because they were so thick. On the bottom right is the water main that is always pressurized. To the left of that is 4 T-fittings, and then to the left of the T-fitting you can see a blue handle. That's known as a ball valve. So when you turn off the water in the winter, you can connect air to that and blow out your sprinkler lines. In colder climates, it's common practice to blow out the sprinkler lines to avoid a freeze break. Above the T-fittings, the darker plastic with the red wires coming out of them, those are electric valves. Electric valves run off of low voltage from a sprinkler timer. Above the valves are lateral lines, and those go to different areas of the yard. At this point, I can't excavate anymore because the manifold is in the way. If you notice, I cleaned pretty well around the main and the 4 laterals because I don't want dirt getting in the pipe after I cut them with my ratchet cutters. Once I cut the pipes, I can remove the manifold. At this point, it's a really good idea to take note of the colors of the wires going to the valves. You're going to need this later. With the manifold out of the way, I can now size up the new valves that I had purchased for this job. I tie up all the wires so they're out of my way. I like to tighten everything so I can make sure the valves are the right length. I use Teflon tape on the threaded parts so they don't leak. I use the bell end of a 1-inch pipe to extend the main a little bit longer. Always use primer because it maximizes the effectiveness of the cement. After gluing in this first piece, I realized I need to do more excavating. So I use duct tape to cover the pipes so when I dig the dirt, it doesn't get inside the pipe. There's a T in the way, and I need to replace that because there's not enough pipe to glue onto. Now, depending on how much room you have, you can typically bend the pipe into place. Also, the pipe next to the T has 2 couplings on it, and I don't want to glue on a third one, so I cut that and replace the whole thing. Now these gray things that I'm screwing are called action machine unions, and they're nice because if the valve goes bad, I can loosen them and slide the valve out of the way and slide a new valve in without having to cut or glue or anything. They're just threaded fittings with O-rings that prevent water from leaking. Typically I start with the main side because I know where that's at. And the lateral I can make longer or shorter depending on what I need. I've been doing this for a while, so I'm pretty good at eyeballing where I need to cut the pipe, but you might want to measure yours for a more accurate fit. You might notice me putting dirt under the pipes. This is called bedding the pipe. It's easier to glue the ball valve to the final tee now before it's installed in the ground. Now it's time to move on to the wiring. The wire from the controller is wrapped in a sheathing. First I need to remove the sheathing to expose the multi-strand wire inside of it. One wire from each valve needs to go to the white wire that's in the sheathing. This is known as the common wire. So first I wire the 4 valves together and then wire in the white wire. You have to use a dielectric grease nut so water doesn't get into the splice and cause a short. In this case, we are going to use the original timer. Remember when I told you to take notes? This is why. Pull out your notes and review what color wire goes to the respective valves and make the appropriate connections with the wire grease nut. This will ensure the already programmed timer is going to water the same exact stations as before. I love a clean wire job, so I try to keep it tidy. Next, I 45 the ball valve, which means opening it halfway so when I turn on the water, it will flush the dirt out of the line that remains from the installation process. After it runs for 10 seconds, I shut the ball valve off and tighten any remaining loose fittings on the valves. And finally, I'm going to test each valve. After this, you're done. This job took me about 3 hours. Expect to spend anywhere from 3 to 5 hours depending on your experience. Congratulations, you just saved yourself a bunch of money.